Welcome to the Betting Pros PGA podcast. I'm Pat Fitzmaurice, joined by Bo McBrayer. The second major of the season is upon us. It's the PGA Championship, which will be played at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll give you an overview of the course, run through the odds, talk about some of the contenders, and give you our early betting cards. We'll also make some one-and-done picks at the end of the show. But let's start with a quick recap of last week's two PGA Tour events. Sepp Straka won the Truist Championship at the Philadelphia Cricket Club's Wissahickon course. Straka beat Shane Lowry and Justin Thomas by 2 strokes. It was a big win for Straka in the PGA Tour's 6th signature event of the year. Straka earned $3.6 million for the victory, his second of the season. The big Austrian also won the American Express back in January. Straka is now third on the 2025 money list, behind only Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas, and Straka trails only Rory McIlroy in the FedEx Cup points list. Straka got off to a fast start with the 63 on Thursday. That left him 2 shots behind Mr. Thursday himself, Keith Mitchell, who always seems to come roaring out of the gate. Mitchell fired a 61 on Thursday, but his putting betrayed him in subsequent rounds. Conditions toughened up on Friday and Saturday as the wind picked up, but Straka continued to play well. He carded a 67 on Friday, a 66 on Saturday, but Shane Lowry, the big Irishman, pulled into a tie with Straka going into the final round. The two big men went toe-to-toe on Sunday. Justin Thomas tried to make a run at the leaders, but couldn't quite close the gap. Straka and Lowry were tied after 15 holes. Then Lowry missed a 7-foot par putt on the par 3 16th to give Straka a one-shot lead. After they both parred the 17th, it came down to the final hole. The 18th at the Wissahickon Club is a long 514-yard par 4. Both players hit the green in regulation. Straka was about 31 feet from the hole. Lowry about 20 feet from the hole. Straka lagged to within 3.5 feet. Lowry hammered his birdie putt through the break. He then missed the 6-foot comebacker, effectively handing Straka the win, but Straka made his par putt anyway. So a big win for Sepp Straka. Bo, your thoughts on the Truist Championship and the Wissahickon course, which was hosting a PGA Tour event for the first time?
Everybody was talking about how amazing this golf course was, and I completely disagree. I think the course was garbage. It was fun to watch a good field take on a course like that. I liked that it was a shorter course, strategic. It was so easy without wind. Like, these guys were just lighting that place on fire on Thursday. And guess what? When the wind picks up on a course like that, it gets exponentially tougher, as we saw. And when things get exponentially tougher, that's when we start to see the effervescence of Shane Lowry rise to the top of the leaderboard. It's like every single time the weather rolls in, the Irishman starts to crack his knuckles and say, "All right, boys, it's time to play some golf." And that was the first 3 days were entertaining. I thought Sunday, it almost felt like nobody wanted to win that tournament, because you had perennial awful putters like Straka and Lowry completely bludgeoning. The tee to green game was fine for those two, but they couldn't make a putt between the two of them. Straka made a couple to keep his lead, but it was like, okay, who's going to make a putt besides Straka? And that was it. At the end of the day, Straka's hot putting and timely putting in the middle of that Sunday round won him that tournament. Justin Thomas, short game was fantastic, and he made a lot of clutch putts to save par, because if he had any ball striking at all, if Justin Thomas could hit a fairway or a green to save his life on Sunday, he would have won that tournament by 5 shots, because nobody else was making anything. It wasn't overly tough on Sunday, but nobody wanted to win. Everybody was hitting terrible unforced error shots all day on Sunday. It was unbelievable how bad everybody played on that course, where it was ripe for the picking. And I was just enraged that Justin Thomas could not hit the broadside of a barn, because with his short game, he would have won going away. But he was awful from tee to green. And that's really what shook out to be. With Straka made a couple birdie putts, and that was what made the difference.
Yeah, very out of character for JT. He should have won that. It would have been his second win in a row. And the Wissahickon course, a little like the American version of St. Andrews in the old course. It's wind is the defense. If you don't get wind, it's a pushover.
That's it. Yeah, all those bunkers, what, 120, 130 of them? Most 95% of them were not even in play. They were just there for aesthetics.
Yeah, I
So,
think that course would be a lot tougher on me than it is on Sepp Straka or Justin Thomas.
yeah, it was fun to watch a course that a lot of people play. It's a private course, but it's not really that private when it comes to just being your local club. So I like that it's that kind of accessible feel to it. But as far as a PGA Tour event stop, I'm glad that they're going back to Quail Hollow next year.
Yes, sir. And we did have a second PGA Tour event last week, the One Flight Myrtle Beach Classic. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this one. Ryan Fox won a three-man playoff against Mackenzie Hughes and Harry Higgs. Fox missed the fairway to the left on the first playoff hole. He missed the green to the right with his approach shot, but then he holed a 53-foot chip. Higgs couldn't make his 30-footer to stay in the playoff, and when Hughes missed his 17-footer, Fox, the New Zealander, got his first PGA Tour victory in 68 starts. Now we'll get to the PGA Championship in just a moment, but first,
download the free BettingPros app for iOS and Android. With Sportsbook Sync, you can automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. Go ahead and create your own custom betting systems to find winning trends and profitable opportunities. Get your 7-day free trial of Betting Pros Premium by downloading the app at bettingpros.com/apps using code JUICE, JUICE, and activating your trial on the upgrade screen.
now, as mentioned earlier, the PGA Championship will be played at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. Quail Hollow has hosted the Wells Fargo Championship since 2003, with the exception of 2017, when Quail Hollow hosted the PGA Championship for the first time. Justin Thomas won the PGA that year. He finished 8 under par, 2 shots better than Patrick Reed, Louis Oosthuizen, and Francesco Molinari. Quail Hollow also hosted the President's Cup in 2022. Now, for the PGA Championship, Quail Hollow will play as a 7,626-yard par 71. It's going to play pretty long this week, especially after some rain on the course early in the
Lots
week.
of rain.
Yeah, I guess
Lots of rain.
today, Monday, it was storming pretty well, it looked like. Now, all but 2 of the par 4s at Quail Hollow are at least 439 yards long, and 3 of them weigh in at more than 500 yards. 3 of the 4 par 3s are longer than 200 yards, including the 249-yard 6th hole. The par 5s are all fairly reachable, although the 592-yard 10th hole will require 2 pretty good pokes. The fairways at Quail Hollow are rather narrow. Driving is going to be important this week. Players who are long and straight off the tee should be able to pick up some strokes. There's not a lot of water until you get to the final 4 holes. It's definitely going to be a factor on those finishing holes where the water really comes into play. The greens at Quail Hollow, they normally play firm and fast, but we'll see if that's the case this time around after the early week rain. There was rain in the forecast for the Charlotte area. Also, I believe Tuesday and maybe Wednesday. Otherwise, the weather looks pretty good for the tournament itself. Temperatures are expected to be in the 80s all week with mild breezes ranging from 5 to 15 miles per hour and minimal rain chances. Bo, what do you make of Quail Hollow?
It's a beast with this setup. 7,600 yards is a beast already. And then with the softer conditions that they'll have earlier in the week, it's going to make it even longer. This is already a golf course that favors long, straight drivers of the golf ball. And now it's going to even more emphasize long, straight driving of the golf ball. These are narrow fairways. It's a long course. You're going to have a lot of long iron approaches. Even your longest hitters in the game will be hitting a lot of mid irons into these par 4s. And the par 5s are no joke. Like, it's a lot of majors can tout gettable par 5s to kind of give you a relaxed feeling on the par 5s. Quail Hollow is not like that. You're gonna see good shots rewarded and bad shots heavily penalized. I still think this is a really good fair test of golf that anybody could win. But there are some things that where longer hitters who can hit the ball straight off the tee have a massive advantage, especially before things dry out. This is the kind of course where the big boys are going to come to play, and we got some boppers in this field that are going to be very they're going to be on a pedestal. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on them to see how they perform, especially with the expectations.
Yeah, driving is going to be important. Long iron play, like you said, Bo, ball striking. It will be a ball striker's test. But I think because we're going to see some missed greens this week. So scrambling is going to be pretty important too. And, who can master these Bermuda greens?
3-putt avoidance, huge.
Most definitely. All right, we'll get to the PGA Championship odds in just a moment. But first,
Bet365 has a special offer for our listeners. Turn $5 into $150 worth of bonus bets when you join Bet365. To claim the offer, just go to bettingpros.com/365 and deposit at least $10. If you place a bet of at least $5, you'll earn $150 in bonus bets. Again, that's bettingpros.com/365. 21 or older only, must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Tennessee, or Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or if you live in Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. Terms and conditions apply.
Now for the odds. All odds are courtesy of DraftKings as of Monday afternoon. Some of these odds may have changed by the time you consume this show. Scottie Scheffler is the favorite at plus 400, followed closely by Rory McIlroy at plus 450. Then it's Bryson DeChambeau at plus 950, Jon Rahm at plus 1600, and Xander Schauffele at plus 2000. Ludvig Åberg, Justin Thomas, and Collin Morikawa are all at plus 2200. Joaquin Niemann is plus 3000. Tyrrell Hatton, Patrick Cantlay, Hideki Matsuyama, and Brooks Koepka are all plus 4000. Tommy Fleetwood is plus 4,500, and Viktor Hovland and Jordan Spieth are plus 5,000. Bo, who do you like more at their respective price? Scottie at plus 400 or Rory at plus 450?
Well, obviously, I pull up my first run model. I use my Quail Hollow model and just filtered for the longer distance and the Bermuda. And number 1, Rory McIlroy. Number 2, Scottie Scheffler. Who's surprised? No one. And it's going to come down to how much does putting matter? How much does driving matter? Obviously, Rory McIlroy has a massive advantage in driving and putting. He's 12th in this field in putting. That's an incredible stat. In fact, the only stat where Scottie edges Rory in this field is on approach, where Scottie's number 5 and Rory is 65th. That's going to come down to if Rory's on his driving game, he's got the biggest advantage in the game. If Scottie Scheffler is driving the ball well, which he's been kind of hit and miss off the tee, he's still really good. I mean, it's still Scottie Scheffler, but if Scottie is off the tee a little squirrely, like he has been on occasion, this is going to be a rough week for Scottie Scheffler, especially with his ability to putt and scramble, not nearly as good as Rory. I'm going to start with Rory, plus 450. I got him at plus 500 a little bit ago on DraftKings, so that's a pretty good line for Mr. Quail Hollow himself. He's won here 4 times. I think that means that if you go on Wikipedia, he probably is listed as the owner of Quail Hollow Golf Club in Charlotte. Rory McIlroy is Mr. Quail Hollow. It is his destiny to complete not just the career Grand Slam, which he did earlier in the year, but also the season-long Grand Slam, where you have Quail Hollow, his favorite course. You have Oakmont, which rewards driving even more than Quail Hollow does. And then, of course, the Open Championship in Northern Ireland, where he's from. So in order to fulfill his destiny, Rory has to complete the Quail Hollow 5-peat. It's insane how well he does here. So I would obviously be crazy not to bet Rory McIlroy here, especially with the heater he's on. He's won 3 out of 8 starts. Is that right? That's a really high percentage. That's Tiger-esque in a very small snapshot. I'm also very interested in who I think is going to be the only one that can push Rory if he's having a good time, and that's Bryson DeChambeau. Plus 900 or plus 950, depending on the book. I really like Bryson here. He's playing out of his mind good golf this season, even better than Scottie. Even though we just saw Scottie demolish a lesser field, Bryson DeChambeau is the kind of guy who will do well on this golf course, an outstanding driver of the golf ball, and a very underrated short game.
Yeah, it seems sort of crazy that we would question whether Scotty should be the favorite at any tournament. He's
This would be it. This would be it.
yes, because I mean, after all, the last time we saw Scotty Scheffler was 2 weeks ago at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, where he won by 8 shots, running away.
It wasn't fair though. That wasn't a fair fight. This is as good of a test as you're going to see
True.
Scotty have with stylistically with the golf course not necessarily fitting his game, and obviously a much stronger field, arguably the strongest field in professional golf.
Yeah, and as you said, Bo, Rory's won at Quail Hollow 4 times, winning the Wells Fargo Championship. Almost 5 times. He lost to Rickie Fowler in a playoff in 2012. It's funny, Rory got his first PGA Tour win at Quail Hollow in 2010. He set the course record that year with a 62 on the final day. Then he broke his own record with a 61 in 2015.
Seems good.
It does seem good. And he's first on tour in strokes gained off the tee, second in strokes gained tee to green. The ball striking has just been impeccable this season. Bryson, you said it, Bo. He's finished first, second, sixth, and fifth in his last 4 majors. That's pretty good. And
He's on a heater.
he is on a heater. And in his last 2 Wells Fargo Championship appearances before he left for the LIV Tour, Bryson finished 8th and 4th. So he's shown some aptitude for Quail Hollow. And, obviously his big driver should play well this week. Now, let's talk about some of the other guys from this group. Who else do you like at their respective odds?
I'm kind of going back and forth. Of course, I want to do the dueling banjos, Rory Bryson type of thing because that's just good television. That's good betting because these guys are the hottest guys on the planet and a good course fit. But I'm conflicted on Ludvig Åberg because his tee to green game is so really. It's just a perfect fit for this golf course. But his short game worries me, and so if he's dialed in with his driver and long irons like he often is, it won't even matter. But it's also if the conditions are softer, Åberg has a big advantage. He's a scoring machine when the conditions are soft, which they will be on Thursday at least. If things start to dry out and get a little tougher and he starts missing greens, then I think Åberg is a threat to miss the cut because his short game is 138th in this field. Not great, Bob. It's a Jekyll and Hyde type thing. He's a young player. He's an aggressive player. I can see him winning, and I can also see him missing the cut by 5 shots, but that's also why he's at plus 2,800. That's the most appropriate line we've seen from Åberg in a major since he joined the PGA Tour, where we've always gotten overinflated odds when he hasn't won anything. I think this is the kind of number that tempts me, and I think I need to get a little closer to Thursday to figure out if I want to bet on him or not. But for sure, just Rory and Bryson, and then I'll be doing quite a few long shots and mid plays.
Yeah, let's talk about defending PGA champ Xander Schauffele, who won at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville last year, the first of his 2 major victories in 2025. He also won the Open Championship. Schauffele is another player who seems to like Quail Hollow. He's finished second at the Wells Fargo in each of the last 2 years. Xander plays tough course as well, and he is a tiger in majors.
He is. He's also got a horrendous short game over his last 24 rounds. One of the worst putters in this field, 108th, 106th in total short game, which is around the green and putting combined, and 66th in the 175 to 200 bucket, which belies his expertise in the proximity at 200 plus approach, which he's obviously very, very good at it. I think Xander is going to benefit from tougher conditions, but if it's a scoring fest, like it could be the first 2 days of this tournament, I don't know that he can keep up. That's where his short game, his struggles putting this season have showed up, where if you need to make birdies, I don't know if he can do it.
Now, you've been on Justin Thomas lately. He won the last PGA Championship at Quail Hollow in 2017. His 2 most recent PGA Tour appearances resulted in a win at the RBC Heritage and that runner-up finish at the Truist Championship this past weekend. And Bo, like Thomas, we talked about this. He easily could have won the Truist if his ball striking had been more Justin Thomas like on Sunday. So are you scared off him a little bit by how poorly he struck the ball in that final round?
Yeah, especially off the tee. His off the tee game, which is going to be absolutely paramount this week. It's been so bad. Like, this guy's driver is out of whack. He couldn't hit any fairways going down the stretch, where he had birdie hole after birdie hole to try to get a tie for the lead for a little bit. Then he was only one back, and then he comes up to the par 5 and just hit the damn fairway, dude. And he hits a pull hook 30 yards left, and you're like, okay, now you're scrambling to make par on an easy par 5, and you're not giving yourself a chance to score. Where his short game is so good that he can if he's in and around the green. But if he's playing catch up off the tee, he's a very live threat to miss the cut here. Off the tee game is so important at Quail Hollow, especially with the length that's going to be required. He's a long enough hitter. I don't trust his consistency off the tee with the driver. He's going to be hitting a lot of drivers, and it scares me. It scares me a lot. I love JT, but not a very good sign when he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn coming down the stretch on a Sunday with every chance in the world to win that tournament.
It's frightening that it wasn't a consistent miss off the tee either.
Oh, he was playing Army golf out there. Yeah, Army golf, left, right, left. Yeah, it was atrocious. I was so mad watching it because, of course, I was holding all those JT tickets and watching him just throw it all down the drain.
Now, I can't get on Jon Rahm at 16-1. He hasn't won on the LIV Tour this season, although he's finished top 10 in all 7 of the LIV events he's played. But his last 3 appearances in majors, 7th, missed cut, last 4 appearances, 7th, missed cut, 45th, 15th. Collin Morikawa, great ball striker, ranks 16th in strokes gained off the tee, 4th in strokes gained and approach, 5th in strokes gained total. But he also ranks 63rd in putting and 70th in scrambling, and his recent form hasn't been great. I like Viktor Hovland, but other than his win at the Valspar in March, he hasn't really done much this year. He ranks 100th in total driving and 133rd in strokes gained putting, which wouldn't seem to bode well for Viktor this week. What do you make of Joaquin Niemann, Bo? I mean, he's won 3 LIV Tour events this year, but the 26-year-old Chilean has not made any serious noise in any major thus far in his career.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's one of the best golfers I've ever seen, but his best finish in major is outside the top 20. 0 top 20 finishes in majors in his entire career. That's not great. It's not going to get any better this week. This is a loaded field, and he's just overinflated. It's like, I don't know where these odds come from, because Joaquin Niemann has proven nothing in a major at any point. There might be one spike for any of these players you can see have had a good showing in a major at some point in their career. Joaquin Niemann has done that 0 times, where we've been, Joaquin Niemann could very well win this tournament. It's never happened. So I'm completely off of Niemann. As much as I love watching him play regular events, when it gets to major time, something just happens where he just doesn't win. He turns into Tommy Fleetwood, which is a top 25, top 30 machine that is going to make the cut, but that's all you can expect.
All right, let's run through some more odds. We've got Shane Lowry at plus 5,500, Corey Connors at plus 6,000, Sepp Straka and Russell Henley are plus 6,500, Jason Day is plus 7,500, Wyndham Clark, Sungjae Im, Patrick Reed, and Minwoo Lee are plus 9,000. Justin Rose and Daniel Berger are both 100-1, and at 110-1, Tony Finau, Sergio Garcia, Robert McIntyre, Maverick McNeely, Keegan Bradley, and Cam Smith. Bo, the short odds on Scotty, Rory, and Bryson have created some pretty long odds for some pretty good players. Are you considering anyone from the group I just mentioned?
I like. Let's backtrack just a tiny bit. I like Brooks Koepka at plus 4,500. His ball striking and off the tee game is amazing. The fact that his short game has kind of come around a little bit on the LIV Tour is encouraging. He's a PGA Championship master. He's got 2 U.S. Opens and 3 PGAs, which is not the best club to be in. It's if JT wins the PGA, then that's his 3rd. This is we don't want the guys who only have PGA championships. Thankfully for Brooksy, he's got 2 U.S. Opens to go with it. But I like Brooks at plus 4,500. That's an amazing line. And then I drop all the way down to Minwoo Lee at 90-1. Minwoo Lee off the tee is dynamic. He's exciting. He can absolutely destroy the golf ball off the tee, accurate and long, just like Rory. His approach game is god awful, but he's been getting better this season on approach, which is why he's had more favorable results this season. I can see him having the firepower if this stays a scoring fest. Like if we do get a little bit of thunderstorm action on Friday and Saturday, which is in the forecast a low likelihood, I can see Min Woo Lee scoring in bunches. He's got all the talent in the world to do that. And then Will Zalatoris, 130-1, another just pure ball striker who can catch a hot putter. And I think that if we're looking for a prototype golfer, it's got to be the guys that get off the tee and on approach well enough to give themselves enough scoring opportunities to where even if they're a little bit off on the short game, they're giving themselves the chances to keep pushing forward.
I might be interested in Shane Lowry if we were getting gusty winds on any of the days at Quail Hollow, but it appears we're not going to get that. Lowry has finished top 20 in 7 of his last 8 events, though, so it might be worth considering for a top 10 or top 20 bet. But, man, it was just so disappointing that he could not close the deal at the Truist when a good final round would have earned him the trophy.
It's amazing how great he is at chipping and how terrible he is at putting.
I know.
He should just go out there with his wedge and putt with his wedge because he'd make a lot more
my goodness
shots that way.
That birdie putt on the 72nd hole was just like, I mean,
the eagle chip on 15 that he darn near jarred from behind the bunker. Like that was one of the best shots ever. And it should have gone in for eagle and he would have had a whole different outlook on the last 3 holes, but his putting's so bad. It's atrocious. And so, yeah, his ball striking really picks up on the field when the weather gets nasty, but you can't trust a guy who can't make putts in the clutch.
Yeah. Now I'm intrigued by Corey Connors. The Canadian has finished inside the top 20 in 7 of 12 PGA Tour events this season, including 5 top 10s. He finished 8th in the Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow in 2023, and I believe was 4th there in 2024. Now, he's not a great bet for an outright win because of his shaky putting, but Connors is a pretty interesting option for a top 10 or top 20 bets. Bo Russell Henley is an auto bet for me on any course with Bermuda greens. He finished 10th at the Wells.
Bermuda.
Yes, he is. And he was 10th at the Wells Fargo Championship last year. Patrick Reed, another one. He won me some money at the Masters. He's finished top 10 in 3 of his last 4 appearances at Quail Hollow, including a second place finish at the 2017 PGA Championship behind Justin Thomas. And Patrick Reed finished 3rd at the Masters last month. Jason Day not having a great season, but he's been kind of a Quail Hollow specialist. He won the Wells Fargo in 2018 and finished 4th last year. All right, Bo, what about long shots who intrigue you?
I have a laundry list of guys I'm taking shots on. I mentioned Min Woo Lee and Willie Z. I'm also going to take a shot on Michael Thorbjornsen, 250-1. And yeah, I'm going to probably take a couple bucks and throw it on my guy from Chico, California, Kurt Kitayama. He's an amazing driver of the golf ball. He's one of the best long iron players in the world. He's just on a golf course of this length with these conditions. It really favors his style of play. Can he make putts at all? That remains to be seen. He's one of the worst putters on tour. He's got a decent short game. The problem is, can he make any putts at all? I don't think I've seen him make any this season. If you discount the short game and then the putting overall, he's just an amazing iron player. One of the longer players out there. He's going to have an advantage off the tee and on approach. Can he make enough birdies? I think 250-1 is plenty baked in for the upside. I just don't know that if the scoring stays favorable that he can keep up. He's more of a grinder. Like that's he's another Shane Lowry type. He's almost exactly like Shane Lowry if Lowry could hit the ball farther. He's like amazing long iron player, really straight off the tee, just cannot make putts.
Yeah, you have said that, you don't want to bet Kurt Kitayama at a birdie fest type of tournament. You want to bet him in a place like this. And, like one thing worth mentioning, Bo, I've heard people say that the drainage at Quail Hollow is excellent. Like they have a system in place for that. So maybe it's not going to be as soft as we would think. I mean, it's not going to be playing super firm and fast after all the rain they're getting early in the week, but maybe it's not going to be, hitting darts on a dartboard either.
No, I don't think it'll ever be that easy at Quail Hollow. It's going to be interesting to see who kind of puts their stamp on the tournament on Thursday when the conditions are at their easiest. If somebody goes out there and posts a good number on Thursday, it's going to be really hard to get them off of that as the week progresses.
Now, Rickie Fowler is 200-1, and this dude has a pretty good track record at Quail Hollow, Bo. He beat Rory and DA points in that playoff I mentioned earlier in 2012.
DA points.
DA points.
Wow.
How about a blast?
There's a dig.
That is a blast from the past. And Rickie Fowler's had several other top fives there. And while he hasn't seriously contended anywhere this season, he did just finish 15th at the Truist Championship. And, came roaring out of the gates with a pretty good first round. So I'm mildly intrigued by Rickie at 200-1. And Bo, I've got $2 in my pocket that I am ready to throw on our guy, Ryo Hisatsune at 450-1.
Why not?
Hisatsune has finished top 20 in 5 of his last 10 events. He ranks 27th in total driving efficiency, 39th in strokes gained total, and 41st in strokes gained tee to green. Not a bad profile for a sleeper at 450-1 to win.
I can go even deeper.
All right, hit me.
All right, so everybody expects me to bet on Carl Phillips this week. I'm not betting on Carl Phillips, even though he's 500-1, and it's super tempting. I'll throw a top 20 bet on Carl Phillips because it's plus 850, but I'm going to throw a couple dollars outright on Nico Echavarria, 600-1. I think we can do pretty well with a guy who's playing outstanding golf this season. He putts the lights out. This guy is one of the best putters on the planet, and he's really long off the tee. If he can find some fairways this week, he's got a chance.
Not bad at those odds.
Why not?
Why not? All right. So
why not us, Pat? Why not us?
So who is on your early betting card?
All right, so I'm going right off the top. I'm doing Rory and Bryson plus 500 and plus 950. I also have Ludvig Åberg ladder because I'm just crazy like that. I might talk myself out of it by Thursday, but I haven't placed that bet yet. But I'm waiting for it. It's gambling. This is all gambling. Be responsible, but also have fun. Brooks Koepka 45-1, Minwoo Lee at 90-1, Willie Z. Will Zalatoris for the lay person, 130-1. Michael Thorbjornsen, 250-1. Carl Phillips, top 20, plus 850. And then, of course, Nico Echavarria, plus 60,000.
I am also betting Rory outright at plus 450. I'm going to bet Xander Schauffele, despite the poor putting this season, outright at plus 2,000. I've got Russell Henley for an outright at plus 6,500 with the top 5 kicker at plus 900. I owe Patrick Reed for the Masters. I'm betting him outright at plus 9,000. I've got Corey Connors for a top 20, including ties at plus 190. I feel like the odds are pretty reasonable there for a guy who's just consistently plugged away this year. Rickie Fowler outright at 200-1 and Ryo Hisatsune outright at 450-1 with the top 10 at 18-1. All right.
Arigato.
Now on to our one and done picks. Bo, last week you took Ludvig Åberg. I took Brian Harman. You said you weren't going to be very happy if I out-earned you in an Åberg-Harman matchup.
I'm very unhappy because Ludvig did great except for Saturday. He just blew it up, like imploded on Saturday.
Yes, and while Harman did out-earn Ludvig, it wasn't by much. Harman finished tied for 46th, good for $53,600. Åberg was tied for 60th, good for $42,500.
In a signature event, that is pretty poor.
Not a banner week for us in the one and done, Bo, but a new day dawns. I'm up first at the PGA, and I am going to take Mr. Rory McIlroy. It's the perfect combination of recent form and course fit.
Yeah, Mr. Quail Hollow is an excellent pick, and in order to pivot off of your pick, obviously I would have picked Rory if you didn't. I'm going to go with Mr. City of Water, Wealth, Contentment, and Health, Modesto, California. Shout out NorCal, Bryson DeChambeau.
Ooh, battle of the heavyweights this week, Bo.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it. That's all for this week's Betting Pros PGA podcast. Come join us again next week when we will be previewing the Charles Schwab Challenge. Until then, so long, everyone.